In this session, we will see about the conquest of Sindh and Punjab. Before the conquest of Punjab and Sindh, already British conquered Bengal region, Carnatic, Hyderabad is their dependent state, and Maratha also conquered. Now in the northern side also many territories were under their control. Now major important independent kingdom they left was Punjab and Sindh region. Now here you take, in this session we will see about the Punjab annexation and Sindh annexation. Now you see, the first we go through the conquest of Sindh, later we move to the Punjab. Sindh is located in the lower basin of Indus. This is very fertile land, and also it's a very entry point for the British naval or British vessels. They can move the British vessels in the Indus River. Because of this strategic location, British wanted to conquer Sindh region. However, the manner in which the British conquered Sindh was immoral. Even the person who conquered the Sindh himself told that we have no right to seize Sindh, yet we shall do so. So this shows that even the British know that they do not have any right to seize the Sindh, still they have done it. Now we see what are the circumstances and how it was conquered. Before the conquest of Sindh in 1843, they have involved in Afghanistan war. British involved in Afghan war. For supplying the war material and men and war material, they have utilized Sindh region and to convey to the Afghanistan region. Sindh supported the British fully. They also had a good trade treaty with the British also. Sindh was in all the ways were encouraged or supporting the British without any conditions. However, the British failed in Afghanistan war. It was a disastrous war for British. They had to retreat from Afghanistan. Now under these circumstances, they want to show the strength of British, because already they were propagating the myth that European invincibility. That means no one can defeat European army, because they have already conquered Bengal, they have routed French in Carnatic wars, they routed Marathas, and the Mughal emperor himself became pensioner of the British. So in all these wars and battles, British supremacy of arms and war material was shown. Now they felt that the failure in Afghanistan may cause damage to this prestige. In order to show their strength, they wanted to annex some other part of the territory. Only two parts are left by this time. By 1840s, only Punjab independent kingdom and another one is the Sindh region. Punjab was already a powerful state. It became a powerful state during Ranjit Singh time period. The weak state was Sindh. Sindh was under different amirs. Amirs means leaders. It was not under single ruler. The Sindh state was divided among different leaders. During these circumstances, it became easier for British to conquest Sindh. The person who conquered Sindh was Charles Napier. In 1843, he was the resident of Sindh region and he conquered Sindh. Sindh do not have the kind of power the British had, so Sindh were defeated easily by the British. But all the contemporary historians and contemporary politicians and contemporary observers of the conquest of Sindh termed this act was very immoral. Even though politically it may be expedient and British were in the necessary of conquesting some other part of the India, whereas the manner in which they have done is completely immoral. So this is how the conquest of Sindh took place in 1843. Next we see the conquest of Punjab. The Punjab became very powerful state during the reign of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. After the decline of Mughal Empire, all these parts were almost entire subcontinent was under Mughal Empire. But after the death of Aurangzeb, so many weak rulers occupied the throne of Mughals. And gradually there was a decline in Mughal authority in different parts of the country. And this is visible in the emergence of independent Bengal state, independent Hyderabad state, and this weakness was used more by the Marathas and they expanded in all the directions and they conquered almost many parts of the country. However, after 1761, in the third battle of Panipat, Marathas were defeated by Afghan ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali. So there was confusion. Now Ahmad Shah Abdali conquered some of these territories. Mughal authority is very weak. Marathas were also weakened after the third battle of Panipat and subsequent wars with British. Under this confusing situation, the Punjab region was under different leaders. They were having different small Sikh states. These small Sikh states were called Mynds. Ranjit Singh also belonged to one of these Mynds. There were mainly 12 Mynds, that means 12 leaders were ruling this Punjab region. And like we have seen in ancient India, like 16 Mahajanapadas, that means the northern, the Gangetic plains of India was ruled by 16 different states. So 16 Mahajanapadas. Similarly, this small region was divided among 12 main Sikh states. They were called Mynds. Ranjit Singh also belonged to a particular Mynds called Sukarchakia Mynds. It was the powerful one. And he became the major leader of the Sukarchakia Mynds and he started expanding his territories. He expanded his empire towards other Mynds and other neighboring areas. He was very capable ruler and he allowed all sections of people into his administration. With the British also, he maintained good relations because British were very powerful and the British were his neighbors. The British, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was ruling Punjab from 1792 to 1839. So in 1800s, British already conquered many parts of India. By 1800, Bengal was already conquered, Carnatic region was conquered, Nizam has become their subsidiary state, and Marathas, the British were already fighting with Marathas as well. They were humbling Maratha people as well. Under these circumstances, Maharaja Ranjit Singh do not want to create any enmity with British. Both Maharaja Ranjit Singh and the British had a treaty in 1809, that is a perpetual peace treaty with them. This perpetual peace treaty shows that Maharaja Ranjit Singh will not cross the Beas river and British will not cross Beas river. The river Beas has become the boundary between two empires. However, after the death of Ranjit Singh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh died in 1839. He was very strong ruler and he controlled the Sikh states with a powerful army. And he was an autocratic leader, he was a despot. However, he did maintain good administration for his people. After his death, there was no such capable ruler who can maintain the state with law and order. And there was a continuous succession wars within the Punjab. During these circumstances, British wanted to interfere in these wars and they involved in the internal affairs of Punjab. In the first incident, first Anglo-Sikh war took place from 1845 to 46. Second Anglo-Sikh war took place in 1848 to 49. This shows that after 1845 and before 1850 they conquered Punjab. Before 1840s, what happened? Already in Afghanistan, British faced a disastrous defeat in the hands of Afghanistan and Sindh was conquered in 1843. Now only the independent state which is left in the Indian subcontinent was Punjab. So this is the last independent state. In the second Anglo-Sikh war, during this time period, Lord Dalhousie was there. Lord Dalhousie was the Governor General of India. Lord Dalhousie annexed so many territories. He did not left any chance. Wherever he get an option, wherever he get a chance to annex Indian territories, he did so. He has used doctrine of lapse principle to annex so many small territories also during this time period. So during the time period of Lord Dalhousie, he completely annexed Punjab. So two Anglo-Sikh wars took place. With the first Anglo-Sikh war and the second Anglo-Sikh war, British completely annexed Punjab into the territories of British Empire. So with this, almost entire subcontinent was directly under British rule. Remaining parts of India were under indirect rule of British. So now they have become the masters of India. Some parts was under direct rule, some part was under indirect rule. So directly and indirectly the British started administering entire Indian subcontinent. So with this we are finishing the conquest of British of Indian subcontinent. Now let us see how questions can be asked from this particular topic. Which was the last independent kingdom to conquest through warfare? This is Punjab. After Punjab, some other territories were also conquered, but they were with the doctrine of lapse principle, not through warfare. The last kingdom which was conquered through warfare was Punjab. Which part of the Indian subcontinent was annexed by Charles Napier? Sindh region. Who said, "We have no right to seize Sindh, yet we shall do so"? Charles Napier. So this is how questions can be asked. And with this, the chapter, The Conquest of British, is completing.